my name's Greg and welcome to another game of Wargaming World Solo. This is a bit of a combination game in the sense that I've added in elements of 1 hour wargaming. That was a suggestion from Mike, and thanks for that. And also a note just to say thanks very much to Penny as my first YouTube subscriber, and now up to 3,000. It seems crazy that it started with one person, but thanks for that. So look, I hope you enjoy this game. It's a little bit different in terms of how I've tried to put this together, and it'll be explained that through into the video. If you want to subscribe, if you're not a subscriber yet with YouTube, then please feel free to do so, or join with the Wargaming World Solo Facebook group, or indeed you can have a look at the Wargaming World website, so www.wargamingworld.net. Alright, thanks very much to everybody who has bought the Wargaming World Solo book and all of the thoughts and feedback from it, and I hope you enjoy this game. Thanks very much. Welcome back to Wargaming World, to Zululand 1879, and another game of Wargaming World Solo. Now, this is going to be a game with a twist. Been a recommendation from Mike to see if we could add in the 1 hour Wargames element of the scenarios. So I'm going to do exactly that. I've got a very popular 1 hour Wargames fan group on Facebook, and as well as Wargaming World Solo. I'm going to combine the two a little bit and add in one of the scenarios. And the scenario is this one. It's the bridgehead. So I know it's normally 6 units, but with Wargaming World Solo it's 10. We've got 10 British units advancing, and then we also have 10 Zulu units in the both are attacking. Focal point is to get off the board on this road. We can just see top left hand corner of your screen. And I'm also going to use elements of this particular rule set in terms about how the units get onto the board in terms of the Zulu force. And as always with the Wargaming World Solo rule set, what I do is then I have a look at the map, as it were, and set out 3 battle plans for both forces and see which one we use. First thing I'm going to sort though is to see whether I'm going to be the Zulu or British force. So 1, 2, 3, I'll be the Zulus. Nope, it'll be the British force. I've got 3 different plans as the British. Let's see which one I follow. So that's going to be the second option. Follow a bold move, and I'm going to have my main fighting units, so 5 across the ford. So that's what I'm referring to there. So that's where the troops are going to come across. And clear the Zulu forces, holding the wounded, artillery and regular and irregular units behind the line to support. So if you'll take a look at the forces behind, we've got artillery, and then we've got the British units at the back there, wounded from previous engagements. The Zulus, what plan there? So again, it's their second one. They will have, their plan is as the virtual U, so it's attacking, so again very aggressive. Split the units equally and cross the river at both points. Okay, so the idea there is holding the forward position, but then back there's also another way of crossing, and so it's to split across the two. However, we haven't got the Zulu forces on the tabletop as yet. So at the start of the game we do have 2 Zulu units here. We've got some units here on the right hand side, and then we've got skirmishers which have been harassing the British as they have advanced over this road. Briefly referring back to the 1 hour Wargames element, this is how we set in turn 1. So what would be the red army, the Zulu force, 2 units are deployed, and then what we'll do is that we'll follow subsequent sequences to bring on the British and the Zulu units. So what I'm going to be doing is when the Zulus are looking to come on, we're going to roll in the 3 different areas they may appear. Just in relation to the unit that is on the table, first option is over here on this right hand side. Second will be over there on this sort of dried river area, and the third is over there on the left hand side, remembering that the battle plan of the Zulus is to attack and to do so on both sides of the British area, so both ways of getting across that river. The British objective very much is to clear the Zulus and to continue their advance down this particular track to more defendable areas. So I'm going to do this game over 15 turns, as you would do in 1 hour Wargames. And I'll start off. I'll say that the British are already being harassed, so they're under fire, and indeed the Zulus are on board. So how many do I get in terms of orders that I can operate? Oh, one, plus one with the kind of a random event before I do anything. No, there isn't. All I've done is to move my irregular cavalry forward, so if they might harass the skirmishers over here. And you'll see the commander is charred amongst the colours, our main regiment here. So he has an option to move, and I've just moved it forward. However, there's going to be a bit of a bottleneck as we get towards the ford. Turn one, these are the only units that are going to be operating for the Zulus, so let's see whether they pass their test. I've used this Osprey book to try and get the right units for regimental names, so hopefully I've got that through. Anyway, let's test these two. First of all, we've got the skirmishers. They're a -1 when they're firing, but 8 is their morale standard. Remain bold. No, they won't. Be cautious. Unit has gone cautious, perhaps logically, with the advance of this irregular cavalry. The second unit with a leadership of 8. This one here. That one's fine. For a random event. No, there's not. Looking at the bold table, the enemy's in the open. The unit will advance. It would attack if it was near enough, but it's not. It'll just advance, and I don't even need to draw a card really, because it doesn't have an option to fire. So the Zulus can move 8 inches, a little quicker than standard infantry, so that's where they get to, and that's the end of the turn. Turn 2, let's see how the British advance. How many orders do I get? 3 plus 1 for the command, and 1 because I'm attacking, so I get a +1 in my move. Random event? No, there isn't. Right, so my 5 commands, I've moved 4 units, so they've advanced towards the Zulus, and then over here with the final one I've allowed this unit to dismount. They can dismount and fire. I'm going to have a -1 for doing so. They're also firing at these skirmishers in hard cover. There's lots of minuses in this. I'll just roll and see whether we get anywhere near. Standard is 7. What have we got here? 5. Still a miss because it was -2 because we're in hard cover, and then I've -1 because they've dismounted. So I'll say that's a miss, and that's the end for the British turn. Following the tweak of the 1 hour Wargames rules, in this particular scenario, no other units, no more Zulu units are going to appear until the next turn. So we're still operating with these 2. So we need to test the 1 which had gone cautious, whether it'll stay there, and then what the second unit will do. Cautious unit go back to bold. No, it won't, so it'll stay cautious. Unit stay bold. Yes, it will. A random event? No, there's not. The question is really, what does this unit do? And I think it'll advance towards this unit here. I'm liking the look of this game. You've got the British advancing fairly steadily, but at the moment we haven't had any interruptions for the Zulu forces, and as we go into turn 3 we'll see more Zulus appearing, but where from? How many British commands will I get? Oh, that's plenty. So we've got 6. I get 1 for the commander, and you also get 1 for attacking, so certainly I've got everybody I want to use can move. A random event. Nope. I'm going to actually fire with 3 units. So 2 over here. This unit in the middle has moved, and I'm also going to fire on this side. I have moved the colours. They're going across that forward area, and on the back, right at the back on the right hand side, I've advanced with the reserve. Now the other 3 units I haven't done anything with. because in terms of my battle plan, they're staying there as the reserve, whereas I've got the remaining units. I've got 5 units up here, and now it's time for shooting. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire all 3 units at this unit as a combined fire. So it means I need to roll to hit with all 3 and any other factors with it. But it means that ultimately we'll do 1 test only. Irregulars need a 7 to hit to start off with, so let's have a look with that. That's a miss. Now, this is A company, and what I'm doing for the rule here is I'm going to say that they, with the first shot, they get a +1 when they're trying to hit, and a +1 in terms of their impact. So it would normally be an 8, but it's just 7 to hit. Sorry, a 9 to hit. It's a 5, so that is a hit. A 7, so I'm going to do a fire, but it is a light unit, so that would be -1 is in its impact. To miss the end of that, it's just 1 hit, so it's 1 impact. It's a +1 though, so the impact that it makes is a 6 in total. So the morale standard of this unit is an 8. 6 is its impact, so it's how far above 2 do we go? And it's 3, so it means it needs to retire. To test whether the leader in the unit was a casualty. No, they weren't. This is where the unit finishes. Doesn't do anything in its turn or its phase that follows, but this unit can, as long as it passes. And then also we need to think in this turn about the other Zulu units beginning to appear. So we can have the up to 6 Zulu units appearing. Let's see how many will appear. 3, but 1, 2 will appear over here. 3, 4 in the centre, and obviously 5, 6 will be on the right hand side. So let's see where those 3 units are appearing from. It's on the right. Okay, so 3 units have now appeared over onto the right flank, and that changes the dynamic of the game. So very healthy units with 2 good leaders certainly in 2 of the 3. I still need to test the approaches of the 2 units, starting with this one. Being bold after being hit for the first time, yes it does. And does this unit remain cautious? It does, and it can also fire. Let's just test if there is a random event. No, there isn't. These 3 units are deemed to have moved, so nothing happens to them in this phase, and this unit, like I say, is it just turns around and it reforms, doesn't do anything else, but remains bold. Also comment that obviously they were hit, but I don't take casualties. I don't take figures off the board unless it's the whole unit. I don't know how you whether you prefer that or not, but that's the way I keep it simple. Now over to this unit here, and we'll draw a card just to make sure that it is able to fire. I'll just do this once for people unfamiliar with the rules. Is that it's a cautious unit now. Although the enemy is in the open, if I draw a joker as a virtual U, it'll take cover. So I can't make decisions on behalf of the unit, quite obviously. That's where we take this this table. So let's see what the outcome is. Anything but a joker, and it will fire to 6, so it's fine. It's a light unit, so its impact will be penalised, but it's a hit. Unit does have a morale standard of 8, and I do take 1 away for to hit, but it was a 7. And this unit isn't really in any particular cover, so it is a hit. 1d6 -1 for it being a light unit, so it's a 3. This unit is a 7, less 3 gives us 4. So do we go above 4 with this roll? Nope, it's 4. They're absolutely fine. And that concludes turn 3. Turn 4, let's see how many commands I get. I've got 4 + 1. The commander is would be a 5, and I get a +1 for a move as long as somebody is moving, and I'm sure somebody will, so that will be 6. A random event? No, there isn't. So I've moved 2 units. I've moved the command off this forward towards this left hand side where the Zulus have begun to amass. And then this unit, if you remember, the battle plan means that I've got to keep 5 this side of the river, so it's going to begin to take up its defensive position. All it left for me to do now is shooting. The remaining 4 commands, I'm going to have all 4 units fire. They're all going to fire at this unit, I'm going to have to just measure and make sure that it's within range. Yeah, they are all within close range, so I'm going to start firing over with this unit here. It's a 7. It is the same target, so it makes it one point easier, but with a 9 it's still a miss. B company, so it's a +1 to hit and its impact just for the first shot. So does it hit a 10? Double checking, that's a miss. A company is a skill of 8. It's the second shot at the same target, so it should be a 9. That's a hit. Units. It is the second time it's shot at the same target, but that is a miss. 1 hit out of 4, so the impact is 1d6 with this. Don't get a plus in this time, so it's a 2. Standard is 8 less 2 is 6. How far above? It's not. It's absolutely fine. So after that absolutely abysmal shooting, it's over to the Zulus to advance. Start by testing the approaches. The skirmishers. 7 to find. It's bold unit. Fine too. First time we'll be testing these 3. So the 2 at front are a 9 and the 1 at the back is a 7. 9 to remain bold. They don't. 3 cautious. They are 9. They're okay. 7. Fine too. If there is a random event. Oh yes there is. So let's draw a card. It's a 10. That's very useful because with a 10 it means a unit, or it says single out, you can, any morale test needs to be taken, you get a +1. Where that applies is here, because this unit is going to look to charge within distance of that unit. Before I do the charge, these 2 units have moved here up on the right hand side, but let's take that test and see whether that charge is successful. What I must do beforehand is just to draw a card, make sure I don't get a joker. That's a 9, that's absolutely fine. Just 1 to this test, and it's fine, so it can hit. The Zulus get 8 inches, plus you would also get a 1d3 distance, which would be another 3 inches, so it's no problem at all about making contact. Melee, the defendant does have an opportunity to counter charge, and we will do here, but it needs to be 7 or less. Oh, and it is. The way we work this out is that we have, it's just the impact, so there's no to hit bonus, but there is a benefit in terms of the impact. So what I've done is for all Zulu units is that for the first impact they get a +1, so it's a +1 onto the impact that they make, and in addition to that both units charge, which is a +2. The Zulu impact is this +3, 5. The irregulars are this +2, so it's 4. Zulu morale is 8 less 4 gives us 4. Does it get 4 or less? No, it's a 12. That's very high, so that's 8 over. The irregulars have a morale of 7 less 5 is 2. What happens to them? That's 8 for them too. An 8 means that both units break and flee, and based on the location I'm going to say I'm going to remove both of them from the tabletop. I'm going to say the irregulars would flee. They're going back towards the river, and as far as the Zulus are concerned, they would flee into this gap over here. It's within a distance, and I think reasonably they're not going to take much part again in this battle, so I'll remove them both. That leaves a gap. 20% of the British left flank has disappeared. There's been a disappearance in the centre of the Zulus too, but that still leaves shooting, and this unit can still fire again at the irregular cavalry. That's an 8. That's a hit. Impact is -1 for a light unit, and it's no effect. Now, that's the end of turn 4. But in turn 5, we've got more Zulus appearing, so let's see where they do arrive, and how the British might respond, and whether they bring up some reserves. Okay, turn 5, and I don't really feel like I'm getting the British shifted down this road, so let's see how many actions I may What have I got there? I've got 4, and then I get a +1 for the commander if he sends an order, and I also get a +1 for movement, so effectively 6 in total. Just need to check if there is a random event. No, there isn't. I've actually moved the command, which means I can't issue that command to somebody else. So in fact I've only got 5 actions. I've moved a unit to the back there, moved that further forward. Obviously I've moved this one forward as well in terms of the colours, and therefore it leaves me with 3 units here that I'm going to fire. I'm going to fire different targets. I'm going to combine the firing of A and B company. Both of them are firing at this unit, although A company is at long range. So it's an 8 to hit with both. Let's see, A company first of all. This is the half effect one. That's a hit. Second unit is an 8. That's a hit as well. Impact is half of this, which is 1 plus 1d6, which is 2, so 3 in total. This unit, which has a leadership of 9, less 3 is 6, so is it 6 or less, or do we go over? Just over by 1, so it means that this unit moves half its distance, which is 4 inches, is going to be over in this gap here. Now we need to test if the leader is killed. Oh, Joker now. Where we turn to chapter 5 and the details here with regards to characters and leaders. And so if a Joker is drawn, a leader is killed, we need to have a look at this particular unit itself. Now I know that its morale standard was 8, which means it's a regular unit, which means that morale standard is dropping down to 7. So the leader had given it a +1 to 9, now the leader's killed and the standard is regular, so it's down to 7. That's where it finishes. This unit over here is just going to try and harass this unit here in cover. It's difficult to hit, so let's get a very low number. 10 certainly isn't, so it's a miss. So we've got more Zulus appearing, whether it's going to be over on the far side there, up this hill, or where these units originally came from. Let's have a look and see how many are going to appear and where. 1, 2 will be the furthest point away. 5 and 6, no, it's going to be here, and more of the units are appearing from this area. How many is the next question? And 3. Now before any additional units come on, I need to test these units and make sure they're still okay with their approaches. Let's just test these. The one in front here on the right hand side is a 9, the one next to it is a 7. Let's test the 9 first of all. That's fine, and then the 7 behind it, and that's okay too. Now remember, this unit had gone from 9, lost its leader down to 7. Right, there. So with 4 that's fine. It's inactive this phase, but back to bold. This unit is cautious, but it will change potentially. 1, 2, 3 is bold. Is bold, so that's temporarily bold for this turn, so nothing, it can't be active in terms of firing. Before any other activity, let's see if there is a random event. No, there isn't. No, this unit isn't quite in charge distance of the British there, but he can certainly move to it. Now these 2 units, bold units, would move towards their enemy just as long as we don't get a Joker. First unit, King, so that's fine. Second unit, Jack. Fine. So this is where the unit get to. Okay, so on the right hand side 3 units have now come in, and there's naturally a lot of pressure now on the British left flank. So that's going to be the end of turn 5. Over to turn 6. Turn 6, how many British commands? 4. Well, all 4 units will fire naturally, and then we've got another 1 which will be movement at the back there. Before anything else, is there a random event? No, there isn't. Movement wise, I've moved this unit up to hold this area. Right, so I'm going to start firing here. First time with a volley with this unit, so it gets a +1 to hit and a +1 its impact. Anything with a 12 I think for this one. It's going to be a hit. Its standard is already 10. Impact +1. Oh, it's only 1, so that's 2. unit is 9 for its leadership. And right, 2. So 1 means it's going to have to fall back half a move. So that's important because it means it can't charge in the next phase. So they've just fallen back a little there. Let's test if we lose a leader again. No, we don't. I'm going to combine the firing of companies A and B, firing at this unit. They're in close range. First one needing an 8 is a hit, and the second is a hit. 2d6 impact, which is 8 in total. Unit's on a 7. 8 is the impact, so naturally we're going to be going above here, so we need to add to that. So that's 7 above, 8 above its morale standard. And an 8 means that the unit needs to break and flee away from the enemy. If it can't do that, we need to be removed, and because it's running straight into these units, I'm going to remove that unit from the board. Unit over here firing, same target. It's a very low number in 7, isn't it? We're over to the Zulus. We don't get any more Zulu units in this turn, we will in the next. But let's see what's happening in terms of the approaches of these units. Let's start over here. Approach is a 9. But it's failed. 1, 2, 3 will be cautious. No, it's gone measured. So that unit is reforming, but it can't move in this phase, and it won't move either in the next, whilst it tests again whether it goes back to bold. And indeed, if it stays as measured, whether it will charge ultimately, we'll have to see. These 2 units, the one on the right hand side is a 9. Okay, that's fine. This, however, is a 7. That's failed. 1, 2, 3, it's cautious. No, it's also gone measured. This unit is an 8. That remained bold. This unit, of course, had lost its leader, so its leadership is down to 7. Does it remain bold, is the question? No, it doesn't. 1, 2, 3 is cautious. Again, it's measured. So effectively, across these 5 units here, we do have 1 still to do, is the units, I would say, are now getting much more cautious. They've attacked this British line, got volley fire against it. We've lost quite a lot of casualties. I know there's been a melee too, but you can see how the fact that the British are keeping them at bay. Now, what would be helpful in the next turn is if we had the final 2 Zulu units coming from the other side there. Otherwise, it could be very difficult to get these Zulus advancing. Now, this unit had gone temporarily bold. If it passes its test, so it's on an 8, it'll go back to cautious, and it does. So of all of that activity, there's only 2 units which could move, and this one, in reality, is pretty trapped behind the one there. So in actual fact, it looks like the effective unit is this one to go up and out into the open. But before we do anything, let's see if there is a random event. No, there isn't. Now I want to move this unit out into the open. It'll be fine to do so. Bold, moving into the open, unless I get a joker. I don't, so that's fine. I'm going to manoeuvre this unit between these 2 in this sort of rocky area, as long as I don't draw a joker. I don't. 3 is fine. That's where the 2 units finish, and the turn finishes. So we're over to turn 7. How many actions? Oh, that's not very many at all. So I get 1. Now, I get 1 in terms of my command, but I think he'll fire anyway. So I can get an additional 1 for somebody to move. So if I have somebody move at the back there, which I possibly will do, other than that, I've only got 2 units that are able to fire, so that's good for the Zulus. I'll just see if there is a random event. No, there's not. With the movement, I've moved this unit into a firing position. And with the 2 actions, I'm going to fire with the what is the command unit here at this Zulu unit, and then I'll also do the same over here. So on this command unit firing, its standard is 10, and indeed it's firing at the same target, so It's definitely a hit with a 9. 1d6. 2. Morale standard is 9 less 2 is 7. Unit's absolutely fine. And this unit here, see if we can hit. 11's a miss. Now then, end of that phase for the British, and made absolutely no impact. So let's see what happens. It's turn 7, so we may get, well, we will get more Zulu units. Let's see where they're going to appear, and let's hope they don't appear on this side. Let's hope it's a 1, 2 or a 3, 4. It's a 1, so ideal. Which means Zulu units are going to appear on this side. Now I've only got 2 left, so anything but a 1. Fine, both units. Now, let's see how quickly the game can turn. Because we've got 2 units which can operate here. And now, I've had 2 more units appearing on the other side. So, certainly that's something to think about. So let's test the approaches. This one is the one that had gone temporarily measured. 9 or less, it goes back to bold. It doesn't, it stays measured. Can't do anything for this phase, but it's measured moving forward. This one, let's see if it stays bold, and that might be really significant. It might well then charge, and it does. Now its sister unit, which has a standard of 7, temporarily went measured. But it goes back to bold. It doesn't do anything in this phase, but it's back to bold. This unit has a morale of 8. Let's see if it remains so on bold. Yes, it does. That unit had gone temporarily measured. It'll go back to bold if it's a 7 or less. But it's not, so it stays measured. This unit will remain cautious if it's on an 8, and therefore will probably fire. Fine. Is there a random event? No, there isn't. Right, these 2 units can move. This one can charge into the British unit here. British could do a counter charge, so we'll work that out in a second. This unit is just within charging range of that cavalry, but it won't do so, so it'll just advance as normal. Again, I'll have to test and make sure I don't draw a joker. Do that in a second. And this unit can fire, but we need to do the movement first of all. We're effectively testing 2 things. This unit wants to charge, but I can't determine for these units exactly what they do, and that's the reason why we draw a card. Now, if it's a card, normally they'll just move, but if I draw a joker, it would move into cover. I can't control that. Obviously, it's the virtual U. It draws a 7, so it's not, so it would charge. And any unit, whether it's my force or the virtual U, has to test whether it can charge against its morale standard. So this is a 9, and it can charge. The British will counter charge as long as it gets less than an 8. But it's a 9. So B Company hasn't countercharged and has just been hit by the Zulus. Will this unit move? So we draw a card, just making sure. Jack, that's fine. You remember the Zulu battle plan as well. It's trying to get across both ways in which to get across the river. So that's the reason why in particular this unit is going for A Company. Going to fire with this unit. Let's just make sure it can do so. Yes, that's fine. Does it hit? No, that's a miss. So we just need to do the melee. So the Zulus get a +1 when they first impact in melee. So if you remember, the British had a +1 when they were firing. So there's a +1 there, and you also get a +2 for the charge. So the Zulus get a +3 to their roll, and it's just 1d6 each. +3 to the Zulus takes it to 5, but the British gets a 6. British morale standard is 8, less 5 is 3, so how far above 3? 3 above. The Zulu morale is 9, less 6 is 3, so how far above 3? Oh, very far, right, okay, so that is 8. So the British unit buckles a little, but holds its line, but the Zulus have flown back, and they're all the way back here. So I need to test if the leader is killed with both units, actually. Not with the Zulus. And with the British unit, let's test with a different... It is, right. Okay, so B Company have lost their leader. And as a result, their morale standard will go down to 7. But again, this game is going back and forth, and what I thought was going to be a very tricky moment for the British, they've managed to pull through at the end of turn 7. That's the end of the turn, and we've now also got all the figures on the tabletop. Let's see how things go in turn 8. So turn 8, and how many actions can I have? Right, now 6. It means I can also have 1 for movement, that's a plus, giving me 7, and a number of firing actions I know, but let's have a look at the other units first to see if there is a random event. Oh yes, there is. So something random. We're going to get here, it's a 10. The 10's good. It means if I need to have 1 morale test, I'll get a +1 during this turn. Movement, I've withdrawn the cavalry. They've remounted and moved behind this unit, and I've also manoeuvred that cannon. It means it can't fire this turn, but it will be able to have the right line to be able to fire at these units in the next turn. I don't actually need to use all of the actions. In fact, I'm going to fire with all 3 of these units, and I'm also going to fire with the irregular infantry there on the other side of the river, which is in range to fire at this unit. I'm going to start there. Well, 2 6s is certainly nothing. This unit firing here, same target, so 9, that's a hit, and impact 1d6 is 3, morale standard is 9 less 3, so 6 or less. Double 1 is fine. If you remember, the B Company's standard is now down to 7, and with an 8 it's a miss. That leaves us with A Company firing at this unit. And 9, and 9 is another miss. So effectively we've had firing from all 4 units, 3 here and then 1 the other side of the river, and it's made no difference. Okay, I've done a few things off camera just to speed things up a little. I've tested both of these units. They've remained bold and have moved forward. This unit here has temporarily gone bold, but I had a random event which we drew an ace, and there was a storm which meant that nobody was going to fire. So even if it was okay, this unit wouldn't have been able to fire. This unit remains bold, the one that had been fighting. It is just reforming. The unit next to it here has failed its test and temporarily gone cautious, moving over this side. This unit passed its test and advanced, and the unit in front of it passed its test, charged, was countercharged, and we're going to work out what happens in the fighting in a moment. And finally, this unit here remained measured, wanted to charge, so we had a card which meant that it could do so, but when it went to charge it failed with a 10, so it couldn't charge. So the only thing we've got to do here is the melee, which is over between A Company and this particular Zulu unit. Both have charged. The Zulu's got a +1 in terms of impact for first hit, so it's a +3 to the Zulus, +2 to the British on this roll. Another 6 again for that British unit, so 8 with its impact, 6 for the Zulus. Now the Zulu morale standard is 8 less 8, obviously means there's going to be above, but how far above? 8 means it will also break. Let's test and see if there is a leader killed. No, there isn't. British morale is morale standard is 8 less 6 gives us 2, so unless it's double 1, it's not, it's a 9, so therefore it is a 7, which means that rather than a break, it's a full retreat. Let's test and see if there is a leader. Is a leader killed? No, there's not. So we're halfway through the game, and the Zulu attacks have been thwarted really. We've still got more units advancing, so we'll see how that goes. And at the moment the British haven't buckled. They have lost one unit. The Zulus have lost two, and they're still holding their line. So let's see what happens in turn 9. Right, so it's the British phase. I've done a couple of things off camera. So I rolled a 3, so 3 actions plus 1 for movement. So you can see the movement is that cavalry is continuing to retreat over the area where it can get across the river. The British have reformed, Company A have reformed, and then I have 3 actions. The 3 actions is that I'm firing with the irregular infantry and then with the 2 units, and all 3 have hit. They've hit separately, but 2 have hit this unit, and then we've got 1 hit that one. So let's start with this. I could have combined it, but I didn't, so it'll be 2 separate morale tests. So the first impact from the irregular infantry is just a 1, so it's an 8 or less, which is fine. And I have the command unit. Now that's a 6, therefore it's 3 or lower. It doesn't do so. It is 7, which is a retreat. Just need to check if a leader is killed in that process. No, no, they're not. Now this is one of these moments where you can, the unit needs to retreat 8 inches. Now it's within 8 inches of the board edge, and I could either remove them from the board, or I could keep the game going, or either way. So this would be entirely up to you. I'm going to keep them on the table, but I think the Zulu advance is beginning to struggle. So the unit finishes here. So let's test this unit again. 1d6. Let's see. Oh, 6 again. So this time, what's the impact of that? Oh, 10. Now let's double check on the morale standard of that unit. Right, so the standard of that is 7, less 6 is 1. We've rolled 10, so 9 higher, so therefore it'll break. And I'm going to say most definitely this unit is not going to be able to break within these 3 units appropriately, particularly one with that withdrawing, and I'm going to remove them from the board. Right, and on that I'm actually going to call it. I'm going to call this a British victory. I'm looking at the Zulu units. I've removed 3 already, and I could have easily taken a 4th off. And once you go beyond half units, so essentially 6, it would be that the game is lost. But these units have, right across the board, other than the 2 new ones, have been retreating. I think there's quite a lot of distance here now to get to the British line, and they're all more or less in place. I think it's been a close game in the sense that a couple of the points where the Zulus have actually been able to attack, I've had lucky rolls with the British, and the units have retreated. Had it been the other way around, we'd have had two removals from the British units, but that's the way the game goes. So we call it a British victory, and let these units go back and reform and attack on another day. So it just leaves me to say thanks very much for watching. Really appreciate everybody who has started to play Wargaming World Solo. Some fantastic numbers in the Facebook group. We've had well over 2,000 people now join the Wargaming World Solo Facebook group, and as I said right at the start of this, nearly 3,000 for the YouTube group. So just to say thanks very much to everybody who makes such a difference in doing this. If you've got any ideas in terms of games you want to see with Wargaming World Solo, let me know, and I really look forward to seeing those who are playing the game putting out their own after action reports, indeed videos or review of the rule set themselves. Thanks to those who are doing it already, and really like seeing those. So thanks again for watching, thanks for playing the game, and I'll see you soon.